Notice how this video is not titled, I don't want to get stabbed anymore. Or I don't want to get, or I don't want to starve to death on a beach for whales anymore. So here's the deal. I got like 64 hits. 64 instead of 5. And I was cussing a lot in that last video. It was really informal. Most of my classes are incredibly informal, and I don't put on a posturing that I'm going to be speaking to a mass audience that actually cares about things like swear words. So I don't always have to come off like a brute, low-class soldier, but many times I do. You know why? Because I'm in the Clippeth getting stabbed all day long. So it's gross. It's gross. So now I'm well rested. I'm missing the Clippeth face. It's a little bit poofy, but I'm well rested. My brain is clear, and Hades has been gritting up the underworld. We are also doing the Gryffindor eggs, and that changes things. That changes the entire ball game. So that I'm going to be going over a level of redundancy over the last 2 videos, but I'm going to be offering some new information and providing more clarity for those who are like, might have questions or concerns about their ascension process. So I will be offering more diligent boundaries and structures. We will not be covering the entirety of the Ascension list in this video, or the entirety of the Muggle doomed list, but we will cover a few and some very specific generalizations. Always know this. There will always be a path into Hogwarts if you are a Buffy. Always. So if you're willing to sacrifice and do real work, you will always find an open door. Not if you're on the unforgivables list, but if you are a genuine Buffy. Let's begin. The why. So God made me go really fast. I have been given 10-year head start on everybody. I have been given a brain that processes symbolic logic equations in midair, psychically, without ever having to write it down. I took my symbolic logic final in 15 minutes and got an A+. I barely had to write down any equation. That was only mandatory for the teacher to see that I did the work. And did the work correctly. God has facilitated a platform for me to calculate what the future is going to look like and to accommodate according to the vapid narcissism, extreme demonic patterns, and egoism of others. I have done all the calculations of being left to starve to death on a beach, of being knife raped in a Clippeth for 3 months and having almost 0 people reach out for help. And to understand that that will be the pattern across the board if they ascend via Slytherin. Everything that has transpired in my life, being beaten to death, being beaten to the point where I committed suicide or tried to when I was 16, being forced to channel celebrities around the world without any monetary gain, or it was a form of enslavement, being astrally raped and attacked for the last decade, and being forced to hand over fortunes of my money. So I would be astrally raped and attacked, and I'd still have to find a 9-to-5 job to pay shamans all around the world that also won't show up when I am doing a hunger strike, but think that they're of service to God. So in between all of these red flags of people's actual character virtues, God has shown me the stepping stones I needed to take, like doing the hunger strike and building the Kabbalah program, where I would ascend the tree so fast and so hard I could actually calculate the Ascension vehicle process of what would transpire. And it does not look good. It didn't. It looked like a bunch of maniacs, egomaniacal freaks that would exploit nature to gain power and dominance over others. So that's Slytherin. There are 2 ascension processes. That one would have been the low point. It would have been the fairies against the muggles. And it would have ruined everything. I would have been still the head of that Slytherin house, but Slytherins are ego-driven. So just one muggle crossing their boundary, and they'll just Avada Kedavra! Take them out. Because they're so heightened in their emotions. Knife rape! So it's all, it just, one, and all it takes with the Slytherin house component is one thought, one want, and a lack of moral integrity and discipline. There is way too much knife rape, FGM, and pedophilia on this planet for me to be handing wands over to Slytherins. Period. It is an intergalactic standard that planets like this do not ascend with a Slytherin house. That is an intergalactic mandate. Standard. So what usually happens is we close off Slytherin and we send straight into Hufflepuff. That makes sense. And then what happens is once there's an entire system set up where the Slytherins will not be continuously undermining an ascension with their own narcissistic greed, with their own wants or desires, or I own that magic. That's mine! Knife rape! In the astral planes or in real life. So with that level of undermining energy, an ascension can never move forward. So we usually close off Netzach. The why. I'm sorry, I'm really tired in this video. That was Star's behavior in the astral planes for the last 3 months. It's forced possession, narcissism, owning, and clinging to old paradigms where she can be greedy and suffocate the life out of an entire paradigm moving forward. That was her astral energy. The astral energy that you project through the astral planes and dimensions is the energy that would come from your wand. There is zero separation. So those were her spells she was casting at me for months, where I was tortured and imprisoned. That's the why. The Hufflepuff dilemma. Lucifer made a joke once with me. Lucifer is my best friend, by the way. Lucifer is the guardian to the gates of hell. He is neither a demon, nor is he evil. The way he has been treated throughout history is a farce. Even in the Bible, it states that Lucifer is the guardian to the gates of hell. The gatekeeper. The dark dragon that knows and understands everything, including love, beyond measure. So Lucifer is Yoda. Period. He is an archangel and a Jedi master. His spiritual energy has crossed all the nexus that are open already on this planet. Unlike yours. He is funny, intelligent, and giving beyond measure. He is heroic. He is empathetic and loves. He is also fair and reasonable. Now, he has an immature side, which gets triggered when, under attack or duress, as everyone does. All right. The Hufflepuff dilemma. Lucifer made a joke while we were going through the Ascension process. During my hunger strike, I opened the Stargate Nexa to allow Slytherin to manifest on this planet. You cannot ascend into Hufflepuff without getting through Slytherin. Period. That doesn't mean we're leaving Slytherin open. That means the gate opened for us to ascend into Hufflepuff. I had to make extreme sacrifices on my body, brain, and spirit, and basically sell my soul to the planet and offer myself up as a martyr token, sacrifice, to open the dimensions and portals to facilitate this ascension. I had to have the whales. I needed the beach. I needed the planet. I needed the fairies. And I needed the dragons. So the dragons would have done it without, but it helped. Jesus did not succeed. Jesus' consciousness failed. It was the Maleficent archetype, that created and facilitated this process to create the Ascension. Maleficent. Me going into the dark femme, looking at Isla, my niece, and going, I won't corrupt. I will ascend into Hufflepuff. I love. I don't need to sit in Slytherin. I can fight to the death to create an Ascension because of my love of a little girl, even after I starved to death. I can do that. I can protect that little girl with my life in the underworld. That thing, that monkey, has a sister. I love her too. Now I need double this strength. Oh, I have kids I haven't even met yet. Quadruple the strength. I love. I don't need Slytherin. I need to fight for them. I need to make sure that some CEO doesn't get a wand and then start gaining power like a Voldemort real fast. Probably already has some pedophilia background in his repertoire or porno pics of kids. So, Lucifer said to me during the Ascension, as I was getting my first wand, or the wand that helped create the Ascension, named Charity. And Lucy said, because Charity was blessed by Hufflepuff. If it was just Hufflepuff and Slytherin, it would just be Slytherin. There are two reasons for this. Cruelty doesn't end till Gryffindor. Control, self-mastery, and discipline doesn't begin till Gryffindor. That's why. So the Hufflepuff is not it's not a rescue zone. Hufflepuff is a stopping zone for you to stop being an evil snake. It's a temperance space. In the tarot, for the Hufflepuff tarot, I go, do not dwell here. This is murky waters. I also have a post on my Facebook, maybe a couple, where I go, here's a Hufflepuff tie. Never forget, Hufflepuff is just a noose. Because it is. All right, I'm getting really tired and slow here, but whatever. Houses and heads. We have heads of houses. This is unlike J.K. Rowling's system. This is actually an intelligent design system of Kabbalah. So we have the cherubim that will sit at Yesod, that will be trained into seraphims, Gryffindors. Christine Tara Peterson is the head of that. She herself is a Gryffindor and will always be welcome in Gryffindor. Always. Doesn't matter if she butts heads with me or gets in arguments with me. She is unconditionally a Gryffindor, and she's passing that Nexa severely. And she will get her angel marks soon, or her ability to get them. All right. She will be whipping cherubim into shape, into Gryffindors. The cherubims are usually the people that don't like to ascend, but they sit in Yesod, and they're good people, and they work on all cleaning up the astral planes. And they work on cleaning out sex crimes. And they work on this, and they work on that, and they work on this, and they work on that, and they work on this. But they don't actually they like the dark a little bit. They like their edge. And so they also have a chip on their shoulder. So a lot of them like Wicca and like weird things. They have huge authoritarian issues. So they don't like the idea of ascending into a unity consciousness grid. And this prevents them from actually acquiring real power and mastery, because they lack the discipline and the real hard work training required to do the God level work. So the Tara will be in charge of the house that converts them, because she is a brute force of masculine energy just like me. She doesn't have to take that position, but it's hers if she wants it. She's also profound with the lava bending grids in the astral planes. So if you look at her, a lot of the Ashtanga yogis that are super grounded and square have a good level of that energy, but she's got it immensely. So it's all healthy sacral chakra energy, ready for war. The next head of house is going to be Freeman McFadden for Hufflepuff. He has been around my life since last 20 years. Yeah, 20 years. He is probably the nicest, most genuine, honorable, authentic people I know. If he lacks any authenticity, it is because he is African American or Black and is not allowed to fully be himself all the time. And I don't even know if that's true. So, Freeman is probably one of the most honorable, grounded, trustworthy, healthy individuals on the planet. Jesus has been pointing him out to me for a decade. That's one of my apostles. That's my person. So everybody knows. We are doing the work in the astral planes with him and getting his... We'll talk about the reptile bodies later, but getting his archangel form and the mass ascension going. So that's very exciting. He is the kind of person that will sit in front of his computer and do self-mastery work all day long, and then go work out with his friends, and then go home and cook a nice meal, and listen to, and then as he's working on his work, his photos, he will be listening to Harry Potter on audio on repeat for years. Grounded, solid, boring, stable, but love, and fascinating. He is also one of the most reasonable people. I could almost call him at any time, and he'll sit with me, and I'll be able to talk to him for hours. So, he understands. The next head of house will be Gryffindor, and that's me. It's me. And it's also other Archangel Kamael. So, we're doing it together. Period. There's a reason why we're doing it like this. It's because I also have to help run the Horror House with Allison Bacon. So, Allison Bacon is the only pre-approved Auror on the planet that I know of. Her energy goes, Lucifer is my bitch. She is a rock star, she is rad, and she has all the twin flame knowledge required and all the twin flame magics and nuances that are fully understood. You are not allowed to be an Auror without understanding and knowing everything about the twin flame magics. Because what you do is create harm instead of good if you don't understand them. All you do is create harm instead of good if you don't understand them. Period. So, the next head of house will be Kellyanne, head of Ravenclaw. She is fighting to death for it, and it's beautiful. She's climbing with every single hint of intelligence I offer. She does 10 times the amount of work and then gets smarter. And she writes Nomi books and Nomis to become 10 times more intelligent. She took the secrets of the Mexican shamans and then tore it apart in 1 year. She is the fastest climber and the smartest climber I have met thus far. She started this process a year ago. She had no prior spiritual training, hence she is a master. Real. She signed up for this class like, fuck you, I'm in this class. And then she took it, and she took it. And she's the most obedient, easy person to just start doing 50 to 100 different things. Rad. Obedience and high intelligence and that level of mental flexibility is what is required of Ravenclaw. It is also the primal virtues of Ravenclaw. Obedience, mental mastery, and that kind of love and compassion. I could probably punch Kelly and she'll still just do 100 to 200 smart things to get rid of me. So that level of forgiveness, mental adaptability, everything. Stacey Eckert will be the head of the 5th house. She is the head of prefects. The prefect house, 5th house Nexa tickets are like being the best of the best. Stacey has to master the best of Ravenclaw, the best of Gryffindor, the best of Hufflepuff. She's going to have to figure out the cherubim system. We will cover that in DOT a lot. She has to do everything. She has to help me ascendio 5 million plus people on the planet this year into Hufflepuff. She is doing the best of the best work. She has purchased land and set it up to create a sacred space to facilitate ascendio. Her trees are the trees on the Tree of Life to anchor in all the magics for the Tree of Life. And that's rad too. So it's just an endless amount of work and effort on her that is required on her part. Elaine Harvey is the head of the 6th house. Elaine is cool, laid back, and not nice. But she is loving and a mother. So she has high-level boundaries, but she has a lot more flexibility. 5th house is more in-your-face structure. 6th house is like laid back, be good. Elaine Harvey this is like another level of Ravenclaw. These two, the 5th and the 6th. So 6th house is CIA operative Buffy's, not Kylo Ren's. Kylo Ren would have been a 6th house that went bad or corrupt. His assignment would have been to kill off 5,000 Voldemorts, and instead he spends his time stabbing Rey in the gut. Kylo was to kill the lower energies. Not attack Rey. Then we have the Auror house. We talked about that. We have the Wizigamot, the lawmaker house. We don't have a current head of house yet, but I have my eye on some people. And there's this woman named Shifa Ratziel that I know is probably named Ratziel because she's probably an archangel or house of Ratziel. So I'm going to leave that alone. And then we have the ministry house. At this present moment, I am the head acting minister of magic on the planet. Period. Melissa Elza is the head of the ministry house. The minister is never the head of the house. The minister is a guest to do God's work. So Melissa has the power of that house. So if I start setting laws that Melissa Elza does not like, she will veto it. She doesn't get to write the laws herself, but she gets to veto anything that's gross. So Melza, in the British parliamentary system, there's a permanent secretary. Her. She is the head of HR. She has 20-something years of experience. She is overly qualified and able to handle the needs of the few and of the many, while under excruciating pressure, under horrible dogmas, under entire matrix Slytherin systems that are up against her. I have seen her hold her own and be able to accommodate fairly and justly across the board. She has done nothing but be a public servant. So, non-knife raper marks. This is where I feel where she does not like it, but that's she's gonna have to challenge this system. Non-knife raper marks. To get into Gryffindor or above, you will have to go extreme testing and get your non-knife raper marks. You will have to be inspected on your genomes, your karmas, your histories, your underworlds, your outer worlds, your inner worlds. Your aura will be cleaned. We will have 0 levels of complaints of sexual harassment or rape. Or if that was ever a complaint, the appropriate amount of work had been done. You will also need to have been vouched for by 5 dragons and have 5 dragons completely cleaned out also of your own accord. You will have needed to write an entire Know Me book, a humility book for Lucifer, to build trust and clarity and burn the karmas. It's your karmas against Lucifer 99% of the time, not Lucifer's karmas against you. Humans really need to understand and respect that. Look around. Lucifer has very little karma against anybody. So, we will be calling them angel marks for the kids. The kids don't get the angel marks until of a certain age, but they might get an earring or a plug at their ear that they did the appropriate work. It will not be a chip implanted in their brain. It will be something easy and unique and simple to identify. The Ascendio list. We have a number of cities we will be Ascendioing. Cities. Magical cities. Dharmasala, Sedona, Glastonbury. We'll be Ascendioing Camp Pendleton military base. We will be ascending Mysore, India. Clynarg Fawr, Clynogfawr. I don't know how to pronounce this. It's a city in Wales. A small city. An island, Nani Dal. And then I believe that is about it for the cities. There is an egg grid that we will set up. We have set up in Oakland around the lake. It's about a 3-mile radius. That will be an Ascension grid portal. We will set up something in Austin. Keep it multicultural and weird. These portals are usually for the residents and the caretakers. Anybody with violent criminal history or sex crimes is violent criminal, or they're drug addicts and unstable and unable to actually ascendio, they will be squib charmed instead. So we will create a polarization field. Schools. We'll start in England. We have the University of Portsmouth and Eton School for Boys. In the United States, we have Howard University, Otis College of Art and Design, University of Pennsylvania, and I believe those are the colleges and schools we will be ascendioing. We will be ascendioing the United States Field Hockey National Girls. This is 2 years if they have hit the field 2 years in a row, or not in a row, but have gone twice. They are Ascension qualified. I have a grid on those fields in West Palm Beach, Florida. Companies. We will be Muggle charming most of Silicon Valley. We will be Muggle charming Hollywood and Netflix and Facebook and Twitter. The original YouTubers and original Instagrammers will be ascendioed. There are a few people at Google that will be ascendioed. A few. Huge will be ascendioed. BuzzFeed will be Muggle charmed. Greenhouse will be ascendioed. Cirque School LA, ascendioed, and they say they are ready to get a Gryffindor Nexa ticket. And that is hardcore. Align Ballet Method, ascendioed. Cardio Bar, ascendioed. Any of the other bar schools can cross over into cardio bar systems and get the appropriate grids. If I find out that Richard Gorliola did any weird sex crimes, that will be taken down. I do not know and I do not see, but I do not trust either, and I'm waiting to develop. Other companies that will be ascendioed. Beselda Softworks, ascendioed. That was one of the first companies that go, we're Ascension ready. Like, pretty awesome. Other companies that will be ascendioed or Muggle charmed. There are a number of scientific research and development programs that we will be ascendioing. Green technologies. The Need to Grow company people will be ascendioed also. Biggest Little Farmers across the globe will be ascendioed. Vital farms will be ascendioed. Woofing program across the board will be ascendioed. Again, if there are any criminals in these systems, we will squib term. The royal families globally will be Muggle charmed as unforgivables. They will have no Nexa availabilities. We will not have magicians in the White House. Sorry, Pamela. So, all U.S. politics, Muggle charmed. So, historic abuse of power systems. Done. The clubs. Clubs, I like to look at them as clubs and lineages. The Modern Mystery School. I do not vouch for the behaviors of the Modern Mystery School, but I will vouch for the participation and desires of the students that decide to enroll themselves into the Mystery School as initiates that really desire to create change in service of God. The leadership, on the other hand, is to be desired. So, obviously, the abusive leaders of major lineages around the globe that are money hungry and narcissistic and literally left me to starve to death on a beach in the name of the Christ will all be Muggle charmed. This includes Selena Rodriguez. Inga Kogel is the head of Starfuentes' School of Light in Europe, but she will be ascendioed into the House of Raphael. Saima's lineage, ascendioed. Amma's lineage, ascendioed. Guru Mai's lineage, ascendioed. They will be instated as the heads of their lineages. Non-abusive. None of them attacked me in the astral planes once during this entire process. Not once. Guru Mai offers some shade every now and then, but usually it's pretty innocent, and it's like curious at what I'm doing. Ashtanga Yoga lineage, ascendioed. Janet Stone's lineage for yoga, ascendioed. Janet Stone, muggled. I have never been so offended to see such a narcissistic yoga teacher have me grid her entire yoga studio and not even acknowledge my existence. There is such a lack of spiritual depth and authority and authenticity in Janet Stone. It is bizarre. I would sit in her yoga class and bring 50 dragons to the table, and she couldn't even bother to acknowledge my existence or look at me in the eye. The people who follow Janet Stone, on the other hand, burners. We will be ascending the real burners. These are the people that will go to Burning Man, lightning in a bottle. I'm not counting Coachella. Coachella is a Hollywood event. They will go to Burning Man and Lightning in a Bottle and other festivals like that. If they have gone to 20-ish festivals like that, they're ascendioed just by that grid. We will be ascending the SRF and the Hare Krishnas. We will be ascending the Army-Navy School for Boys in Carlsbad. Army-Navy Academy. We will be ascending the Camp Pendleton Marines and the Navy SEALs in Coronado. We will be ascendoing firefighters around the globe, first responder paramedics around the globe. This does not include all of them, but the ones that are qualified and adept and able to ascend. Usually quite heroic, selfless, and ready to be of service. Timing and dates. We have officially closed off NetSuck. Oh wait, I need to provide some clarity on Fiona Lee. Fiona Lee is Madame Pomfrey on this planet. I have, over the course of the last decade, come to her with extreme issues. Crazy, magic, weird, out of the ordinary. The Dalai Lama is saying this to me, this is happening to me. Never once did Fiona Lee ever call me crazy or put me down. Not once. She has been nothing but available and of service for every single need and request and ready to get to work. She has done incredible work with me. She has something, a magic on autopilot, where you send her an email. Just by sending her an email, and all of a sudden, 90% of the issue goes away overnight. She is the only woman on the planet that is that selfless. She is the head of Madame Pomfrey's School for Healers, the head of Madame Pomfrey House. Madame Pomfrey House is not the same as Hufflepuff at all. So she is like the Archangel Raphael of healers. Master. She is in Australia, if you need to find her. Fiona Lee of the Wings. Timing and dates. We will also be ascending, obviously, if we're doing Dharma Sala, all the Tibetan yogis, Shaolin monks, Aikido lineage. There are others that will cross over that will also be ascending. Any massive, deeply spiritual martial arts master will be ascending, probably with his students or her students. Timing and dates. NetSuck is closed off for good. The only people in NetSuck right now have acquired Hufflepuff Nexa passes. These people have 1 year to cross into Hufflepuff. Do a proper brain cook, and ascend the tree of life. After this year, they have 1 year, to get into Gryffindor. 1, to do a Gryffindor brain cook. Me and Kamael will be setting a huge Gryffindor brain cook grid on the planet the next year. If you do not have a valid Nexa ticket from me. Oh, like Fender guitars has an official Nexa ticket for Gryffindor. Cirque School's working on theirs. But Fender Guitars has an official Nexa ticket into Gryffindor. None of the scummy people, but the dragon people. If you have an official Nexa ticket, you have 10 years to cross into Gryffindor. If you do not have an official ticket, you have to do the proper brain cook within the year and cross. You do not need your knife raper marks or to join Gryffindor, but you have to cross the Nexa. A true Gryffindor will always cross a Nexa for Gryffindor in the required time allotted. The next 5 years will be for Ravenclaw. And there's a reason. There are so few people adept and able to even handle that level of intelligence, obedience, mastery, compassion. They are going to need 5 years. Not so much the children, but even the children. To get them into Ravenclaw, to that level of psychicism, adeptness, and mastery will be intense. So the Nexus system. There is a loophole for military professionals. This does not include the Israeli army. We are Muggle charming the Israeli army. For military, and I believe we will be Muggle charming like the Chinese armies and government system as well. For lack of humanitarianism. For qualified military professionals, they have till the end of the Ravenclaw Nexa to ascend into Hufflepuff. And this is because they are being of service in an institution that does not allow them to be free. So, and sometimes they are injured and cannot pass because of that injury. So we will make sure that they are taken care of. This does not include people that, like in Hollywood, that get locked out and then they're going to go join the military just so that they can ascend into Hufflepuff. That is futile and weird. They should be coming to me, Stacy, and Elaine for assignments. Or God. But they need to be approved by the 5th, 6th, and 7th house. That is the Hollywood blacklist system. A 7th house Nexa assignment is something like what I did starving to death on a beach for whales. And it is higher level work where you are going to be alone and embarrassed by everybody. It is hard, almost impossible to do. And nobody gives you like 1 inch of help. These are Jedi assignments. Okay. Timing and dates. We covered that. The Nexus system. I need to talk about John of God. We went looking, Kamael and I, for the ascendable lineages in South America, where they have an adequate level of cherubim shamans who might be doing God's work with ayahuasca and other healing modalities. A lot of it is quite filthy. So, John of God, I did not feel good about, or ascending that lineage. And so I asked male Kamael his opinion. And he said, no fucking way. And Kamael, the male one, is more knowledgeable than I am. So that lineage will be Muggle charmed. Karen Oratari's lineage will be Ascendioed. She is in South America. So if you're in South America and you need to go study to ascend this year, and their families, right? So Karen's got it. The Nexus system. To cross into Gryffindor officially, you will have to have your angel marks. To cross into Ravenclaw officially, you will have to have your angel marks. This means 0 raping, pedophilia, and 0 knife raping, and probably 0 explosions or bombs. In your karma system. So in your body, in your astral body, in your brain, in your intentions, in your genomes, all of it gone. So we call them non-violence marks also. That's why they're called angel marks. You have to be above the wheel in a system of non-cruelty. This does not include murder. Death is not cruel. Self-defense, not cruel. It is sex crimes, torture, and rape. Planting landmines, where little kids get their hands blown off, stuff like that. So if you've done an adequate amount of karma clearing around all of those things, you got to do 50 times more. I have 2 more sections for this Ascension. The Hufflepuff cook. Over the course of this next year, I will be offering a series of documents. I will clean up any typos left over in my anti-knife rape protocols. But I will also be creating anti-reaver protocols. Document. Just in case the Hufflepuff Ascension triggers the Reaver energy stuck in your body as you begin to ground and then also ascend at the same time. The Hufflepuff cook. You are required to be in your body. You have to have a significantly healthy root chakra to do this work. You cannot be all over the place. You have to be healthy, sophisticated, and grounded. And humble. It requires 0 amount of money to do this Ascension. 0. You could sit in the SRF monastery or in the Hare Krishna temples. 0. You could sit with the Tibetan yogis in Dharmasala and do this Ascension. The Hufflepuff cook. You are required to collect your 4th dimension reptile body. This body looks like Voldemort, but lizard. There might be a few layers. Some of you might have 10 of them. Some of you might also have a cobra heads popping out through the Kundalini and layering on top of each other. Now, those are some real masters. Don't get egotistical. Period. That's the amount of power you can harness. But that's the amount of light you are required to swallow. These are your yin bodies. And they will come about during your Netzach Ascension rot. So if you have 17 cobra heads popping up and out, you will be required to perform huge tasks of heroism like Wonder Woman. This is not so you can control or dominate. This is so you can lead. Your Netzach body will show up, and you will feel and remember things. Some of them will be layered 11 layers of that reptile body over you. 12 layers, 13. This is your 4D body. It usually has 0 love. Mine, it was severity and hate. I had a couple. I didn't have a lot of these reptile bodies, but I had like 3 or 4 over the course of the last decade. I had mostly the cobra heads and the dragon bodies. 3 or 4. These are lizard people. They usually do not have the snout. It's usually a cut off face. You have to have at least one of these bodies to ascend. Out of the muggle and into the divine. Collect them, integrate them, and then sit in the green goo of the Netzach rut. And then start counseling yourself that you're going to ascend into Hufflepuff real fast. This is to prevent reavers. When you ascend, after sitting in Hode, a matrix robot system, with your cellular system jerked and stressed and triggered all day long, and you can't even feel your emotions, and you can't even cry because you're just so stressed out all day long. You can't even break down. You can't even allow. This is why I will be endorsing the Isis healing in the mystery school this year. And gritting it. Along with the life activations. There should be a few of them. You take in your 4D body. But you need to also take in your 5D body, which is the dragon body. And this one has power and oomph. This can ascend. It can fly. One of the most important grids or downloads that we got doing the Netzach egg for Kabbalah was having the python wrap around the egg as our Slytherin activation. And when the python wrapped around the egg, when it hit the top, the python's head opened up and it let go of itself. So it's like, I am a Slytherin, letting go of Slytherin. And from that space, it was very simple to ascend. A python that doesn't let go of its python doesn't ascend. It stays stuck. So selflessness is required to ascend. From that space, what happened was we opened the resurrection dimension and allowed for the dragon to appear. So the python let go of itself and the dragon appeared in a yellow bubble. So it was the same alchemy. And the dragon gets you into Hufflepuff. From that space in Hufflepuff, we have a series of alchemical healings we are doing to produce the brain cook. Over the course of the next year, I will be offering these healings publicly for free without a need to take the Kabbalah program. If you want to join Gryffindor and get your knife raper marks or angel marks, you should be taking Kabbalah with me. You should. Ultimately. But this is why, like, people at Fender have a 10 years to take Kabbalah with me. To get up to par. So this Hufflepuff brain cook, it will make you nauseous. What it does is it takes the energy that is usually so controlled and dominant in your solar plexus and in your gut, and it ascends all of that dominance into your stomach and into your lungs. And you become nauseous and sick. And you start seeing the demons in your brain. And you start to cook them out. And you start to make your brain divine and human and whole. So you begin to have zero evil shade in your brain. In the now. Zero. You begin to think human without thinking of all your hate towards somebody all day long, every day. Oh, look, but I sent them a nice message. And then I sit and I rot and I think about all the things I hate about that person. 50 hours for 50. That's not a Hufflepuff. A Hufflepuff's like marshmallow, golden honeycomb, grape jelly all day long to everybody in every single thought. That's a Hufflepuff. So you will master these energies, these sauces and these frequencies. Even if you're in the military, you will have to. You don't get into Gryffindor until you get Hufflepuff, where you begin to learn how to mind control your own brain. To think in healing instead of damage. The people who get to think in damage have ascended beyond Hufflepuff into Gryffindor and the Aurors. Those are the cops that have mastered Hufflepuff. In their physical cells, through their physical bodies. Now, all Hufflepuff initiations will open the Qliphoth, the underworld, and the access to all of your lower selves so that you can clean them up and claim them. And heal your shade. We're not talking about higher self activations. No. We're cleaning out the demons that kill, rape, slaughter everything in the underworld. Shady shit. Through this process, you then have the access and availability and ability to descend with severe intent into Gryffindor and Ravenclaw level nexus at the bottom of the underworld. All Gryffindor and all Ravenclaw initiations will be held at the bottom of hell. Forever. You will not be escaping karmas. We are above the wheel of karma. So you will be grounded, practical, reasonable, non-violent, non-cruel at the bottom of hell. You will be obedient and disciplined and masterful at the bottom of hell. You will be available for help and of service at the bottom of hell. In your physical body. My qualifications. We already went over this. I'm old. I'm not old. I'm old. I'm so old. I know all the dragons. Earth is young. I am old. Sometimes I have to treat Earth like I'm its mother. I have ascended 5 planets prior. 3 knife raper karma prison planets, a raper prison planet, and a demon in hell prison planet, level 2. Earth, as of 2 months ago, was categorized as a demon in hell planet, level 3. With some chords to worse. We have cleaned that out. The knife raper prison planets were easy to ascend. They were a success. Okay? The raper prison planet was nothing. Rape? That's just the seraphim. Like, all I need is a Kamile to whip it out of them and they're done. It's funny when you know that the seraphim used to just be rapists that ascended into seraphim. That's how old I am. My qualifications. I am a Hyote, a high priestess of the Silver Star. I'm an Ophanim. Ophanims are huge planet gritters. Ophanims can facilitate ascensions. Huge. Massive. They'll work with 500 dragons and grid a planet for Harry Potter land. I am a high seraphim and an archangel. These are my qualifications. These are job posts, not titles. These are requirements of behavior and virtue. These are not frivolous lawsuit, I am this, without me behaving here, or here, or here. I take on karmas and responsibilities because of these positions. The difference, I will cover this one more time. The difference between this demon and hell planet and the other one is huge. So this one feels like it's gonna succeed. It feels stagnant right now, but we're building some traction and ground and it feels solid. The other one didn't go so well. So let me qualify you with all the different capacities and talents I have now versus then. I was not in Gryffindor then. I was in Hufflepuff. In the other video, I called it Hufflepat, where you spend so much time doing something good and then patting yourself on the back for it. Just in your brain. 5 seconds of, that was good of me. So that's Hufflepuff. A Gryffindor does 50 good things and looks for the one flaw in why they didn't do something good. And then doesn't stop until they keep doing something good. And there is no pat on the back. In Gryffindor, it's horror. And it's all just sad because you realize the 50 kids that just got slaughtered because you couldn't do it better. There is no pride in Gryffindor. 0. I starved to death on a beach for whales, and I'm patting myself on the back for it? No. I'm horrified because I failed. So now I get to work, and I create Kabbalah 99, and I burn with that, and I burn, and I burn, and I burn, and I burn, and I get knife raped, and then I take a day off, and then I burn some more, and I get back to work, because there are kids that need to be taken care of. That's the big difference. The level of dragons I have with me this time. Boom. I have Charlie and Hades, who work with Lucifer. So I had Lucifer last time. Charlie and Hades fill in the gaps and do huge work. So my big boys are up and running. We also have Pearl and Gracie. I have another one who looks after kids and another one who is the commander of war. I think we had her last time, but weaker. We have Gracie, God's dragon. And I didn't have her like I have her now. We have Root, who's like Charlie, and War Root is a hero and like would throw himself into the underworld and clean up stuff beyond the dragons. And we had him as Baby Root, like Baby Groot last time. So it's different with just the dragons. Mother Andromeda has brought 8 billion pearl dragons to the planet to plug into everybody, including the Muggles. So that's different. To temper their insanity and get them into highest karmic good lessons and intelligence. I call these dragons the clones. But there's nothing funny about them. They are love. You'll see them in the astral plane sometimes, and many times never. A lot of people have been reporting that they're starting to see the crystalline pearl dragon with them, because they're all getting one. I'll also refer to them as the nannies. The nanny dragons. There is a lot of technology in which we are downloading every day to facilitate the planet ascension, including the butter books, the coconut oil books, all the book systems, the rainbow book systems, all the intergalactic standards. They are simple. They are not complex. They are tangible and reasonable to work with. They require time and effort, but mostly it is simple actions to develop skill and discipline over and over, repetitively. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Oh, speaking of repeat, John Ruskin's School for Acting will be an Ascension vehicle. John Ruskin will be Muggle charmed. He knows why. The other things that the other differences. We have Simon and Kelly and the Tara. I think we had the Tara back then, but it was not the same. I think she even had the same role, the same head of house. We have Elaine. We have Stacy. So we have, some of it's a similar team, but we didn't have Kelly before. We didn't have Simon. We didn't go, oh, we have to do the Gryffindor, the Gryffindor Ravenclaw stuff to anchor Hufflepuff for everybody. We have to climb and anchor in from the higher planes. The technologies we're downloading, we have the Ankh necklaces that do the angel wings for the anti-knife raper protocols. The halo packs for the Hufflepuff halos that will start to emanate, and you'll see people's wires from their brains go up and start to attach to the halos to start the brain cook for Hufflepuff. We have a lot that's new. We also have sheer technology. Technology, like computers that are easy to work with and like QuickTime, where I can send a video and upload it in 5 seconds. We had things like that, but we just had less of it. So it's different. We had less ascendable people back then. We had like 1 million versus 5 million. And we had a higher level of density population that had less natural connection, maybe more, maybe less. It was just different. All right, so that's about it. But I need to talk about some things. The public perception and the brain entrainment that had to develop over the course of the last 10 years was immense. We didn't have Triss and Katniss and Hermione and Ray. So we had Maleficent as an archetype to work with on that other planet. But I didn't have Hermione to look forward to. I didn't have Ray to look forward to as a stepping stone and to remind me the 7th house work. And intergalactic. We didn't have Cora. I mean, we kind of had a Cora, but it was not. So the brain entrainment through the movies and the Hollywood industry with those character archetypes gave us a healthy way forward. Hermione's not nice. She's a cunt. But she's good and non-cruel. That was the healthy Gabriella. Healthy Ray. Healthy Gabriella. Then we had the How to Train Your Dragon. Poe. We were missing. We had a Poe, but it was more like a clown. Okay, so we were missing some of these big, healthy archetypes to ascend up and up and up the tree. So, thanks for that. I wish you guys could share in this process with me in the future. I wished it. I begged you guys to show up for years. And you spat on me. Spat on me. Most of you guys told me to suck your dicks in the astral plane, or tell me I was going to be your personal assistant. That's what I got. And when I showed up on the beach, starving, homeless, nobody even sent me an email. Elijah Wood and Jamie Bell will ascend via the 7th house tickets. They are archangels reincarnated. 7th house tickets are archangel level. They will be bound to doing slave labor at 7th house level work. It's the only reason they are ascending. Evangeline Lilly is ascending via 6th house, and Rosario Dawson has a 6th house assignment given to her. Amy Poehler has a 6th house assignment I will be giving to her. In the astral planes, while setting grids, she has repeatedly come to me with a giant golden empty cup. And Tina Fey would sit in the corner and piss. And Amy Poehler, humbled and ready. I want to Ascendio all of Parks and Rec. So if we get an adequate 6th house assignment, that might be the deal. Because of her zero narcissism to me in the astral planes. And she doesn't knife rape either. So she usually shows up with a giant smile, humbled, and with big golden cup. The other part for the Parks and Rec, I started Kabbalah 300 with watching their program for Dimension 1. I don't really want to tell people that because it's like the lower end of Kabbalah. It was my 2016 year. But the Parks and Rec grid and what they were able to do after my knife rape torture to help me not want to kill myself after it and make fun of it instead is one of the only reasons I'm still here. So they helped just with their grid make me twist something that I could barely cope with into handable. All right. Orca Lab will be ascendioing. Ingrid Visser's people will be ascendioing. Christina Quickly. Chryson Quickly. Heather Woodward. Their lineages. They're good people. Melissa Forbes. Stephanie Kober. Their lineages. Misty Copeland is like almost already a Gryffindor. Just so everyone knows. Her job was to give me 5 kids in the astral planes to grid up over and over for the last year. If she wants to have a ballet school, we will ascendio it. Filled with as many kids as she wants. Bobby Boston and Ashtanga Yoga. Anybody else? Kali, Institute of Somatic Therapies and Massage. They will end up being Gryffindor. Run by Patty Flanagan. End up. They will have an official Nexa ticket for Gryffindor. HHI, Hands-On Healing Institute, will have official Nexa tickets for Ravenclaw. This is run by Eloise Albrecht. Real Meat Food Company, Pet Food Company, Hufflepuff. Memphis Meats, Hufflepuff. Trying to get any clear indicators. We will be ascending the FBI and the DEA. Scotland Yard. Navy, medical, and Navy corpsmen. We already talked about Howard University. Heartfulness will be ascending. Dodgy will be Muggle Charmed. As far as the last, we will be Muggle Charmed on my end. Oh, there will be a number of Udemy instructors, masterclass instructors that will be ascending. The Bhutan will be ascending. The New Zealand government will be ascending. If there are any corrupt ones, we'll throw them out. But for government officials, there are only a few that will be ascending. Agape and Michael Beckwith, Muggle Charmed. Echelon, Muggle Charmed. Monroe Institute, Muggle Charmed. Heart Math, Muggle Charmed. Eckhart Tolle, Muggle Charmed. Bikram Yoga, Muggle Charmed. The Chopra Foundation, Muggle Charmed. Tier. I have never in my life gone to a church named Agape and been treated with so little agape. Collie Run out.